Greetings, all. This is Malik Assad Jafar, philosophical philosopher and superstar. Let's get right into it. Today's topic is, if you keep trying and don't succeed, learn when to say when. I know it's a little cliche on the idea, if at first you don't succeed, try again. But I guess specifically what I'm speaking on is due to the fact that I've met some people. By the way, I am guilty of this as well. Okay, from time to time, I've been guilty of this. That people are loyal to a fault. You hear what I'm saying? I mean, they are loyal to a fault, meaning that they will. Let's just say, I won't be specific. Let's just say they try again to succeed, but they don't. You know, and or at least the amount of times that they have tried to complete their goal and the time that they spend doing it isn't worth the amount of time that it took to actually accomplish the goal. Now, there are moments where people will, they'll say, stay the course, and they complete their goal, right? And that's a good thing. And then there are moments where people will try to stay the course and they succeed in nothing, okay? They succeed in nothing. And so with that being the case, both of these are habits, in a manner of speaking. They're both habits. But you never have to break a good habit. It's the bad habits that are an issue that create problems. And just because you come up with new habits to address or countering the old habits doesn't mean that you still won't do the bad habits. You will have to train yourself to not do it. You have new habits, whatever the case is, and it overwhelms the bad habits, and subconsciously they're still there because you haven't reprogrammed yourself, or let me rephrase that, deprogrammed yourself. So this is a problem, and the reason why it's a problem is because this habit that people end up having, it causes them to look at their past experiences, if you will, and seeing how they got to where they are. Okay? They don't look into the future and see where they're trying to go to, if they even know where they're trying to go to, that word vision is important. They focus on where they are today instead of where they want to be tomorrow. Focusing on where you've been instead of where you're going. Not focusing on what you want to do, and instead focusing on what you've been through. Now, again, as I said before, I am guilty of this. I'm guilty of this, and, I did it a lot. And I know people who are still doing this. And some think it's because, individuals aren't purpose-driven. And that might be the case in some situations. On the other hand, you have some people who are just overwhelmed by certain circumstances and situations. And it's difficult to break getting out of that kind of habit if, when you become overwhelmed with certain circumstances and situations, that you operate a certain kind of way. I want to give an example of being overwhelmed by a circumstance or situation and moving in the midst of the conflict. Now, in the military, people are trained to run into combat. Okay, they look for cover. Do a 3 to 5 second rush, if you know what that means. I'm up, they see me, I'm down. Okay, and they're seeking cover while this is taking place. And when I say cover, I mean they're looking for something to get behind. Okay, to protect them from the volley of bullets or fragments and shrapnel, whatever the case is coming. And then they get behind the next thing. So they get up, I'm up, you see me, I'm down, meaning I'm rushing to the next objective. or the next cover point, I'm getting down and I'm looking, okay, I'm looking towards my objective. That's what I'm wanting to do. Uh, and they do this until they get their objective accomplished. Now, there's no amount of rushing that can take place, that can be done, if you can't see on the battlefield. If you can't see vision, if you can't see where you're wanting to go to on that battlefield, how are you going to get to cover to get to your next objective? You kind of have to let the dust settle first. Another thing is that you can't, or you don't want to move forward in combat looking or running backwards. That makes sense? Like, what kind of sense, what would that be like? I'm going into combat, I'm getting to my objective, but I'm running backwards looking at the stuff that I had just been through to get to my objective. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's highly unlikely that you will be as successful as you want operating that way. So to kind of summarize some of the points, to break the habit of, looking back at your past experiences and things like that that are keeping you from succeeding or getting past those obstacles or whatever the case is, look for cover. Look for cover. Look for that security. Look for that something that will cause you to feel safe mentally, emotionally. Not that you can stay behind it, but just know that it's there. Okay? So people take spirituality, religion, people, codependency, stuff like that. There's a number of different things that people look into, but they have to look into something. You have to gravitate towards something. Not having it isn't an option. You have to have some kind of cover. Okay? Move in short bursts to complete your objective. Move in little short bursts, always knowing that you have to do something progressive. Move to the next source of cover that you have. And I would say, again, the most important thing is to make sure that your vision is clear enough to see the next stage of your objectives. Don't get distracted from your objectives. Don't get distracted from your objectives. Easier said than done, but try not to get distracted from your objectives, because things have a way of obstructing views in your life if you're not focused. Certain trivial things will get in the way. I was about to talk about a company that just called me a second ago, distracted me and kept me from, and I'm sitting here aggravated about them calling me, and I spent 20 minutes of time focusing on what they did, and they're probably just like, whatever the case is. It's simple. It happens. But refocus. Remember what your objectives are. But as you're applying this tactic, start small. Work your way up to bigger objectives, whether that's a certain kind of diet that I'm going to eat within the next 2 weeks. It would be great if you continue to do that. But see, a lot of times people don't put a time frame on what it is they're trying to accomplish. And so they never exercise their ability to do fill in the blank. Yes, it would be great to eat right forever, for your existence. But usually people will try it. They'll say, I'm going to keep eating right for however long. Then they fail themselves because of some event that ends up happening or something that ends up taking place, and they want to end up eating something different. And then they fall off on kind of like a New Year's resolution. They fall off on what it is they said they were going to do because they didn't give themselves a time frame. Give yourself something small, 2 weeks. Give yourself a week. I'm going to eat healthy like this. And if you like it after that first week, do it some more. If you don't like it, it's up to you. But at least you can say, mark one down, I accomplished that goal. So you start off small with little bitty things. Not to make it as trivial as a TV show or anything, but just read a chapter of the whatever, read the dictionary, read whatever, read something. Write something, do something, but make it a very small objective in the beginning and work yourself up to bigger objectives until this becomes an actual habit for you. Knowing when to say when is knowing when you're ready to do something different to achieve your goal. I got to chill when I said that. But knowing when to say when is knowing when you're ready to do something different to achieve the goal. Not avoid the problem, achieve the goal. But just remember, you have to have a vision to achieve that goal. Last thing said, if your goal is something that you want to do that would ultimately avoid the problem, then so be it. Go for that. But don't move in a way to avoid that problem, because that would be you running backwards into combat or moving before the dust settles. Well, with that said, y'all be blessed, stay safe and positive, and I will see you next time. Peace.